Okay, hi everyone. Hello. Short notice stream, so people will join us a bit later. So, welcome MDT. It's great to have you on. Always a reliable person on people's streams. It's great for you to come on and contribute because I love your contribution. So good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Max. Thanks for having me. And I hope all is well with yourself. You enjoy your Christmas with your family. Everybody's keeping safe and healthy. And I'm always glad to contribute for the love we share, which is CFC. I know it's a burden because when you love something, it can give you excitement and hurt as well, the same period. So,
Yeah, it can. Yeah, I know. Especially being a Chelsea supporter as long as we have, we've had our ups and downs, and we know it's never going to be Chelsea without your good times and your bad times. But I think that's what makes a supporter as well. Big up, Ankit. Welcome to the show. Yeah, as I said, the first time I'm doing one of these for a few weeks, so excuse me for my rustiness. But yeah, so. But after the downs of yesterday, I just before we talk finances, let's just go back to yesterday because sometimes we talk with emotions, and yesterday I was kind of talking with emotions, and I unfairly criticised Callum Hudson-Odoi. I know that obviously I thought he should have done better with that cross, but when you watch a game afterwards, you kind of have a better perspective. And I saw something today which I didn't notice on in the match yesterday, where the cross came in and the Brighton player actually handled it. I'm not sure if you saw that footage, MDT.
you know, yeah, everybody saw it. But, because the emotion were raw, it
Yeah,
happened live. Mount
yeah,
was screaming for it. It was a handball.
yeah,
He didn't stop it with his feet. It was a handball. But
yeah.
because of
I
when the
didn't pick
match,
up on that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was a handball. He didn't stop the ball with his feet or whatever. It was a handball.
Hmm.
Although we
Yeah,
still want Callum to do better, but it was a handball.
yeah, because I think a lot of us were concentrating on, oh, he missed the cross, but I wasn't actually looking at the fact that he had handled the Brighton player had handled it, and I'm not sure whether Callum had seen that neither, whether he has seen the handball, because if he had, what I'd like him to do is to scream at the referee, because remember when we had Tammy, one thing Tammy was good at was whenever he saw a handball or something, he used to berate the referee, and then what that would do in turn would allow the referee to go and have a conversation with VAR, you know. But wouldn't my
Yeah,
thing is as well? Would shouldn't VAR be looking at incidences like that as well in game and
they,
then bringing
they,
it to the referee's
they,
attention?
they should. And also, you see, Mount was screaming to say it's a handball. But Callum, as soon as Callum made the pass, he didn't get to Mount. Callum was
Mm,
automatically thinking, "Oh my God, what have I done?" So this is the thing when a young player
yeah,
is low on confidence. So it was like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" So you saw his hand in his, his hand in his head, thinking, what's gonna happen to me. So this is the thing, like when a young player is playing and they're low on confidence and they're thinking about what's gonna happen to them outside football, that's not football anymore. For me, as
mm,
soon as football is taken out of the pitch, Max, I don't know about you, but for me, automatically, I can't support that. If a player is on the pitch is worried about what fans are gonna think if they make a mistake, then they're not gonna perform.
that's the thing. That's the thing because we got to remember, and I put my hand up as well because I'm kind of guilty of doing it sometimes. Is because of the emotions. That's why I think nowadays I probably won't do one. I shouldn't do a match review just after the game. I should wait and analyze things better because we got to remember that these are human beings as well, and they are going to look on social media. These players, they are going to have a look and see what people are saying about their performances, and if people are going to constantly criticize them, then it's going to get to the players. And what it doesn't do us as fans any good as well, because as you said quite rightly, MDT, what they're going to be doing, they're going to be over analysing their game, and they'll be frightened to take chances. Because as you notice, if you look at Callum Hudson-Odoi when he used to play in the youth team without any pressure, he used to do all these wonderful things, didn't he, for us? And the reason is because in that you're not under the spotlight as much, so you can do these things and you can express yourself. But when he's coming into the first team and if he's doing things and they're not coming off, and the fans are immediately getting on his back, he's going to be taking the safe option all the time rather than taking chances like he used to in the youth team.
Yeah, if you
Before
remember
you,
when he,
yeah, before you do that, I just want to just acknowledge a few people in the chat. Fairy22, big up to you. Always a very good supporter of the channel. D Stretch, big up, and Chelsea Perspective, Kachilla, another guy who supports me a lot. And I need to get onto your shows a bit more, Kachilla, to support you. I've been a bit busy juggling my time, especially over this Christmas period with the family, etc. But I will try and get on some more of your streams as well. And Kit, you already know I've offered you the request of being one of your panelists or expert panelists for your next quiz. If anyone hasn't seen the quizzes that Ankit does on Almighty Blues, then I think you should do it. And I think MDT, Ankit, if you're looking for a competitor, then MDT is your boy because he knows he's a football encyclopedia. So if you need somebody to go on one of your quizzes, then this guy is a guy you should be contacting. I think he'll give people a run for their money. He'll give it, yeah. So sorry, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say when he just break into the first team, you remember Fabregas and what's his name, and even Eden Hazard used to tell him, "Go, do what you want. You on the pitch. He just play his football. He just play his football. When he break into the Chelsea first team, that was it. He was just playing. He has freedom. He does things. If it doesn't come up, he try again. Things like that. But now it's not the same kid. He's worried about what people are going to think. He's worried about decision making. It's not relaxed. And he remind me of Mo Salah. Remember Mo Salah at Chelsea? He was worried about everything he was doing. He was second guessing himself. And they're young. He just turned 21 just a week ago. So, I just remember myself at 21. Max, just remember when you were 21.
Yeah.
No matter for the whole stadium, whole Chelsea, millions of fans on social media, and they tag him on everything. They will cuss him, they will call him name, and some of the fans that keep telling him to get out of the club. You might be older than him, but he's a fan. He's been at the club since he was 6, 7. You're not more entitled to that club than him. He plays for the club, yes, but you're not a better fan than him. Keep that in mind as well. And for this kid, he's not playing. Even Mount now, they second guess themselves on the pitch. And yes, I will blame them for that. But the fans should share that responsibility. You don't go after a player, tag them. Sometimes you racially abuse them for no reason because of they miss a chance. This is a football game. It's not a matter of life and death. Can we just take things into perspective? Criticize their performance. But like you said, yesterday, I saw it as a handball. Well, guess what? You know why I didn't say it? People said I'm making excuses for the kid. That's why I was quiet. I'm like, that was a handball.
Yeah,
it was a handball.
Yeah, as I said, I missed it at the time, actually, to be honest. But yeah, so it was a clear handball at the end of the day. So we got to look at. I think before, as I said before, I'm quite guilty. Before, let's just analyze it. Let's take a back step before making criticism. And one thing I saw today, which didn't sit easy on me, I don't like when people make these videos of people's failures. I saw something where somebody's actually made a compilation of all his misses. I mean, all his misplaced passes or misplaced shots this season. Why do that? If you're a fan of Chelsea, why do that? It's just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
And they tag him on it.
Yeah.
Do you know they tag him on it? They tag him on it. Yeah. They tag the club. And also yesterday, I don't know whether you see some of these Chelsea YouTubers. One of them said Callum Hudson-Odoi hand Man City the title. So is this game that cost us the title? Another one said Callum disaster class. Was it the only player that was a disaster? Some of the ball Basuma got was not from Callum Hudson-Odoi. Was from some of our best players in midfield. They were the one giving the ball to Brighton under no pressure. But no, because of he misplaced 2 critical passes in 60, 70 minutes he won the game. And guess what, Max? He wasn't even supposed to play.
Yeah. For that, I really blame Tuchel. I'm not sure why Tuchel put him on the pitch, really. That's my only thing. I think like someone like Ziyech should have started. I know, I get why he did it, because obviously the chemistry between him, Lukaku, and Mount in the last game was well. But I think what Tuchel should have done, you're meant to look after the welfare of your players. I just really think that we should have played someone like a Ziyech, who was fresher, who hadn't played for a couple of games. But I don't know. I don't know Ziyech's state of, because he took a knock against, was it Everton he played? So I don't even know what his fitness was like.
Yeah.
Maybe he was carrying a knock as well. We just don't know.
And
Um,
one thing though, Mark. Sorry, let me know. The connection between them was good again. We didn't take our chances. Lukaku, and this is the thing. I will give you credit for this. You've been one of the defenders of Lukaku. You keep saying he's not fit. Give him chance, and look at him. He's still not fit. But look at the things that people said he cannot do. He cannot link up. He cannot hold the ball. He cannot run. He cannot pass. All has been proven to say it's not true. But guess what? Him as well. Look at it. We're playing him half fit. He's gonna break down soon, and that's gonna be a disaster, because Champions League is February.
yeah.
You know. So look at that. We're playing Lukaku, who is half fit. I know, but if we continue playing him this way, Max, that injury is gonna come back. Like Rhys James, he's been playing with an ankle injury. What happened now? The hamstring is gone because he was compensating.
And it's 4 weeks now. I'm hearing 4 weeks. It's a bad tear.
Yeah.
The latest I heard was 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Big up. Before you carry on, big up Chelsea Perspective.
Sorry.
Thanks for the super chat. So let me just read out the super chat. So the question to those people who make such videos would be, how will they feel if someone makes a video of all the mistakes they've made in their lives? And that's a good question, because I'm a YouTuber. As I said, I was a bit guilty yesterday, so I put my hand up. I'm going to do an apology video for Callum. But you know what? We all make mistakes as well. And even in our videos, we make mistakes, because sometimes I'll look back at a video, although I've watched it back a couple of times, and I look at it afterwards. Oh no, I didn't do that. Or we all make mistakes. We're human beings. We all make mistakes. So you know, to highlight every single mistake that people have made. People are trying to, this is their job. And for me, it's counterproductive as well, because I remember I used to go to the matches when we had this boy called Jovanovic under Ranieri. Remember him, Jovanovic?
Yeah.
You managed to, because obviously he was a guy who was a favourite of Ranieri. But when he used to play for us, because he was one of these players, these safe players, he didn't do a lot on the ball and everything. He was a boo boy, and every time his name was called out, the fan base used to boo. I don't agree with booing anybody, because I say, what's that going to do? It's counterproductive. Is that going to make him perform better? And that's the same when we had what's his name? I know a lot of people didn't like him as our manager, the ex-Liverpool Rafa Benitez.
Benitez.
And it was so toxic at the ground. But I'm thinking, I had so many arguments with people, even the woman who's now passed away, unfortunately, but she was the chair of the Chelsea supporters group, and she was advocating all the booing. I had a big argument with her on Twitter once about this, and I said, look, we don't like him here because of his Liverpool connection or whatever, but let's don't do it when, on the pit, when we're playing in games, because what does that do? What does it do? Because the players, what happened, the players were feeling it as well, and some of the performances weren't great because the players were feeling the toxicity. And for me, we're there to support the team. Okay, we may not agree with some of the decisions the club make, but we're all there. That's why we're called supporters. Supporters means support the team through the good and through the bad. That's what we're there for, to push the team on. And if we're not doing that, we can't call ourselves supporters. Before you go, and big up to where is he? Mikhail, long time no see, mate. So yeah, we're going to be talking about finances, but we just wanted to quickly talk about the situation, the game yesterday. So that's what we are talking about, this situation with Callum Hudson-Odoi and some of the other players. So did you want to say something else, MTT, about that?
Yeah, exactly. I was sad because of, guess what? When Benitez came into Chelsea that season, we were just, I think, less than 6 points away from the top. I think 3 points, if I'm not mistaken. The only reason why I think he was sacked is because of the Champions League exit. You remember the group stage exit?
Yeah.
Matteo. Yeah. We were not far away. The booing cost us to draw. I think 4 out of 5 matches or whatever. The toxicity, whatever. By the time we recover, we were 10 points behind. So this
Hmm.
is the thing people don't get. When you even Sari have
Yeah,
couple of bad result in December. The fans were booing because of newspaper. I don't get it.
yeah,
What
and there
was
was
what was the point?
yeah, yeah, they were doing F Sorry Ball and all this
Yeah,
nonsense singing, and
Jorginho.
yeah, I know.
Jorginho was booed to a stage that I feel sorry for the lad.
I was the biggest fan of Sorry, to be honest. But once he was there, I support every manager at the club. I always support every manager at the club when they're there, and I gave them, when I'm at the matches, I give them my full support. Because, as I said before, we should be all in it together as supporters. It's to me, it's just nonsensical. And because we've got a bigger platform now with social media, I think people try to be clever or whatever or they got their favourites, and if someone's taken the place of another player in the team, no matter how they perform, they're just going to wait for them to fail before criticising them on social media, etc. For me, I just don't like that sort of behaviour. What's McCall saying? We'll add a few. And such common sense goes out the window. Yeah, 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 yeah. True. A few drinks and things, but that's fine for game day. But the people on social media, they haven't got any excuses. I don't know the ages. Some of them are just probably children on social media trying to make a name for themselves. Not sure. Right. Let's go on to the finances then. Let me try and share my screen. I don't know if I can get this. Into the report. Um, this thing's. All right, Chelsea announcement. So, for everyone who hasn't heard, Chelsea have announced losses today of £145.6 million, despite a turnover rising to £416.8 million. So the report goes on to say that European champions Chelsea announced losses of 145.6 million after tax for the year to 30th of June 2021. The Premier League club won last season's Champions League under Thomas Tuchel. Their turnover went from 387.8 million to 416.8, thanks to an increase in broadcasting revenue. The club say playing games with no crowds because of COVID-19 and a reduction in profit on player sales were the main reason for the loss. Chelsea FC plc continues to be supported financially by Fordstrom Limited, a company owned by Roman Abramovich, with confirmation in the accounts that the club owes more than 1 billion to related companies. The accounts say that the company is reliant on Fordham Limited for its continued financial support. It says Fordham has indicated support will continue for the foreseeable future. The club adds that under a severe but plausible downside scenario of football being played behind closed doors in December 2021 to January 2022, it would be reliant on additional funding from Chelsea FC plc, with further fundings needed if the financial impact of COVID-19 were even more severe. Premier League and EFL clubs recently chose to fulfill festive fixtures despite ongoing COVID-19 disruptions, including a series of postponements and a record 103 Premier League players and staff testing positive for COVID in the 7 days up to and including the 26th of December. Chelsea accounts say there is a 24.1 million owed due to unspecified ongoing legal matters, while the club also decided an impairment loss of 17.9 million was necessary against the value of its squad. The club say since 30th of June they have signed three players for the total of 109.7 million: striker Romelu Lukaku, goalkeeper Marcus Bettinelli, and midfielder Saul Niguez on loan from Atletico Madrid. In the same period, they say they have sold 13 players for a combined 103.7 million. They could also receive up to 16.4 million if outstanding clauses in previous transfers are all met. So we had a 6 million loss, didn't we, for the year? But although we had that, we still were in debt by 146 million pounds. And I think part of that is to do with the ground. So a lot of people had hits because of the loss of match day revenue. And one thing which I keep stressing when I go on other streams as well is that we are a club who have to sell to buy. That's why we have this one in, one out policy, because we rely on a lot of player sales to keep us on a financial kill. So it's all well and good us saying let's get X player, Y player, Z player, but if we are not balancing the books, then we could be in serious trouble, because 145.6 million is quite a heavy loss. I know that with financial fair play, they said they're going to be relaxing that for a couple of seasons due to the COVID situation. But as a club, I think we don't want to find ourselves in a situation where after the financial fair play comes back in, because there's talk about financial fair play coming back in pretty soon, that we are still on a good financial footing. What's your take on what I've just read?
Yeah, I don't want to sound alarmist here, but Max, we're in trouble. If Tottenham qualify for 2 more Champions League, they will start earning more than us. We will never catch them up on revenue. Let that sink in. If we think this our title winning stuff will continue without the help of the owner, you have to think again. This year, Tottenham will earn double what we earn at Stamford Bridge. They're projected to earn over 120 something million in their stadium, where we earned last year 66 million. So their stadium alone, they're doubling our earning in our stadium. If they catch up on advertisement revenue, that's it. That's the end. So we are not in a very good position. Cobham has been the driving force behind Chelsea break even in all this season, all these years. People keep thinking, oh, sales or whatever. We're just living on Cobham, and people keep saying, oh, we cannot have more academy players on the team. Yes, because like people's argument about not having Matson on the team is because of his height and his not experience. Lamptey left Chelsea at 19. He's playing first team football in the Premier League, and he's shorter than Matson. He's not very good defensively, but because of he has recovery speed, that help him. Look at Cucurella, the guy that created the goal for Brighton. He's not tall. He's not a very good defender. Defending have changed now, but he's quick, both up and down. We had those players, but our fans don't want academy players anymore in the team. Some want, but majority don't. You will see people creating stream that they don't want more academy players anymore. And the thing is, let me give you an example of our cost right now that's killing us. It's nothing to do with the academy. The academy is saving us money. Mason Mount annual cost to Chelsea is less than 4 million. Rhys James is less than 4 million. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, that's monetized. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is less than 4 million. Callum Hudson-Odoi is 6 million. Kai Havertz is 22, almost 23 million. It's costing us each season. Werner, 22, 23 million each season. Ziyech, 14 million. Pulisic, 19 million. What's his name? Chilwell, 19 million almost. Kepa, 18.5 million. That's where our money goes. The academy is the only people. Lukaku is 39 million. This is what you do when you buy players. It costs double. If we keep Rudiger right now, and if give him 200,000, do you know still his cost to Chelsea will be like over the length of the contract we gave him? will be like maybe roughly, I think 7 or 8 million a season. But if we bring in Kunde, Kunde will cost us 19 million. If we bring in Delake, will cost us 23 million. This is the difference. People don't get it.
But isn't there the atomization? Is that included? It depends on the length of the
Yeah,
contract.
Because the contract and the wages are calculated for the length of your whatever, length of your
I
contract.
think
So
that's
this
what.
is
Yeah,
how
I
much.
think that's why we had Kepper on the 7-year contract, just so that
Thank you. When
we
you
can reduce
the
it
cost
over
of the
the
7-year contract, a year over the year, and the salary. This is what it's costing us. That's why you remember last year, when we had Tomori, we had what's his name, Tomori, we had Tammy, we have Anjurin, Billy Gilmore, all of them players. You know what that happened? You know what happened there? It reduced our monetization. That's why last year, when we sold few players, we make a lot of profit, even though qualifying for the Champions League, because our wage bill, although it was high, but still we were playing a lot of players very low. Their monetization was cheaper. This year, the monetization has increased. And the more academy players we get rid of, we sign new players, our monetization has to increase. That means your wages increase, the amount of money you pay to other clubs each year increases, and your income reduces in sales. And that's what just happened this year. Our player sales revenue has gone down, but our wages and our the cost of running, which includes paying each year how much you pay to those teams that you bought players from, has increased. The future, if Chelsea don't have a big stadium, whether we like it or not, for us to be financially stable, we have to first look inward for solution before looking outward. Looking for outward has not worked.
Yeah, and I think another issue is because obviously the UEFA, everyone wants to kind of stop Chelsea, and we started this module. I know a lot of people criticise El Manala when he came in, but what we were doing, we were buying players. We had no intention of actually playing for Chelsea, but we were buying them so that we can loan them out, make money on them. Hopefully, they'll do good. If they do really well on their loans, then we keep them. If not, then we'll sell them at a profit. And that was another way of a revenue stream. But that door's kind of been closed now because they are limiting the amount of players that you can have on loan unless they are from your academy. I remember with Digiboji, Digiboji. We actually made a profit on him because I think we bought him at 4 or 5 million, and we loaned him out a couple of times, got a loan fee for him, and actually we sold him at a profit, not at a loss. I think we bought him for 5, sold him for 7. So in all,
no, 8. We sold him for 8.
Was it 8? So everyone who was sort of laughing at that deal, we actually made, I think, at least 9 or 10 million on that purchase. I think it was the same with the Jamaican lad from Reading,
Michael Hector.
Michael Hector. Yeah, we loaned him to Sheffield Wednesday and a couple of others, and we managed to sell him, and we made a profit on him. So that's what we used to do with a lot of these players. We used to make profits on them. But as I said, that door's been closed for us, so we need to be a bit more creative in our accounting.
You see that statement. You see that statement they made. Player sales revenue. That include the loan fees. Those are the money that the loan fees has gone down a lot. So the loan fees has gone down. Now Chelsea had to make a choice: sell the academy players because they're your biggest assets, to continue buying expensive players outside and hope they work, or rely on the academy player, give them a chance and see whether they can help. This is the thing. Give them a chance. Nobody's asking you to make them first team choice. Give them a chance and see. Because let me tell you one thing today. You're going to be disappointed here. Jeremy Boga. Jody Morris wanted Frank Lampard to bring him back. Chelsea would have got him cheap. He said bring him back for him to be a squad player rather than buying expensive players, okay, to be squad players. Frank Lampard refused. Okay? Today, injured Jeremy Boga this season, he's been half injured. Last year, Sassuolo want over 30 million for him. Today, I think Chelsea let go of their right to purchase him at cheap. because they give us extra few millions and we took the money.
Yeah.
Today they're selling him for 22 million to Atalanta, a 24-year-old. So imagine, why didn't we be able to keep him and sell him for that 22 million? We make the money. So we've sell him next to nothing to Sassuolo. Now they've sold him to Atalanta for 22 million. These are our academy products that were here at Chelsea 2-3 years ago. They go into other teams, they're making money for them. I know you cannot keep them all, but why would you let go of them at a cheap rate, not put on the 20? We had 25% sell-on clause, or we can buy him for cheap. Get him back.
I found that very strange. Yeah. Yeah, I did find that one very strange. I'm going to try and bring up something. Here we go. Hopefully my sharing should be okay now. Let me know if it's up. Can we see it on my screen? Will it come up? Sure. I don't know. Oh, here it is. My computer's reloaded today for some reason. All right, can you see that?
Yeah.
Apparently, Mac Spurs and Liverpool increases. I found Chelsea bigger for fans in the Premier League, making more than £1,600 in tickets and every supporter at Stamford Bridge each season, and that's according to study at the university. Yeah, so Chelsea, obviously, we know about these £4,000 season ticket. Did you know about that one? I mean, what do I call it? Did you know about that? The £4,000.
Yeah, the increase. Well, they have to.
That we're going to
They
be
have
charging
to.
next season. There was a big
Yeah,
hoo-ha
Max.
about. Yeah.
Can
I
you
know
hear me?
because of the ground. Yeah, but yes. Yeah, hold on before you go. So this is what this is. So Chelsea, 2008, 2009. This is on average of the £1,563 matter. We've only changes only got set. Arsenal in comparison, 1,000 Liverpool's has gone up 63%, 974 in 2008-9 to 1,589. Tottenham, if you look at that, 94%. And then I remember MDT, you're talking about Tottenham overtaking us soon, and this sort of stat bears it out here quite clearly because they've made a 94% increase as well. Manchester United's one hasn't gone up a lot. I'm not sure why for them because I think since then they've improved the stadium, haven't they? It's gone up in the last 10 years from what it is to, was it 70 odd now thousand? I can't remember their capacity now. Manchester City's have gone up the most, 184%, and that's probably because there are a lot of tourists going to watch Manchester City. And you know what, with tourists, they like to spend a lot of money. And I think with Chelsea, get a lot of tourists as well. But basically, where we are in London, a lot of tourists come and see us. And you know, when they come along to a match, they're not only there to watch the game, they're there to buy club merchandise, and make it a whole match day experience. And so, what we can clearly see here, with Chelsea, is the rise. The change has only been 5%, and that's mainly due to the fact that we haven't had an increase in our without our stadium, the capacity going up to like the 60,000 mark. As you said, MDT, this is a cause of concern. We're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Max,
Dear MDT?
yeah, can you hear me? Max, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is,
Yeah, I can hear you. I
Chelsea
can hear you,
fans,
yes.
we have to be realistic. We're in a we're in a crossroad right now. We don't have the stadium to compete, but what we have is the academy. So it's the academy we have that. We have the best in the world. If the fans don't embrace the academy, think that we can just go and buy players, it is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard in my life. We've spent 200 million after the transfer ban. We waste the money. The transfer ban was an opportunity for us to look into our academy for all these players. We had them in there. Max, let me explain this to you. Kai Havertz, Bayern Munich refused to pay more than 40 million for him. You know what happened? They came to Chelsea a season before and got their own Kai Havertz, which is Jamal Musiala, and they pay us 350,000 euro compensation for him. And right now, he will bench Kai Havertz in the next World Cup in the German squad. Mark my word. We had our own Kai Havertz. We didn't need to go and spend 72 million. We didn't need to. I will debate any Chelsea fan. I'm not saying it's not a prospect, it's not a good player, but we did not need him. What you need, instead of because of somebody is a prospect, why spend that money? Keep the money. You already have prospect in that position. Kai Havertz is not better than Tino Anjurin. If you give them similar time on the pitch, he will deliver the numbers Kai is delivering or more. It's not better than Conor Gallagher in that position. It was never better than Jamal Musiala. Sorry, I have a flu. Chelsea went ahead and spent the money.
That's right.
They spend the money because we have the money. They did not do due diligence. I don't blame Marina. I blame the scout. Because it's the scout that should have said, no, we don't need Kai Havertz. We have players that can do this. So people that are blaming Marina, yeah, Marina can veto it. But Marina is not a football person. Chris Brook is not a football person. This is where Emanalo would have said, you know what, why don't we buy cheap? Because when you buy cheap, it costs the risk is low, the reward is high. Because when you buy cheap, you can loan them if it doesn't work and make your money back, like we did with Bakayoko. Okay? That's why we had our money back. But when you spend over 70 million on a player, you will never get the money back. Never. Okay, this is the thing people don't get.
Yeah, that's the issue.
We spend the money, we waste the money. We had the players. We did not need Kai. 72 million would have been sat in the bank right now. Chelsea would have been in a better position, and then whatever. We didn't need Kai. I'm not gonna lie to you. We did not need him. We have 3 or 4 players that could play that position.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, and you know what as well? The thing is, the buys that we did do, we didn't have a plan for these players, where they're going to play, or how they're going to play, or whatever. So that's why we are in this situation where we are now, where we have all these players, but we do not have a style of play to fit for them. Because what Jurgen Klopp does, Jurgen Klopp says, this is the type of profile of player I need, and so this is so to fit into my style of football. So that's it. So Frank Lampard, he was offered these players. He needs to be a bit stronger as well. Did he? You know, I know that he had when we bought in Ziyech, he did actually have he did have a position for Ziyech to play, and I think when Ziyech was playing under Frank for a bit, then it was working. But I think Kai Havertz was more of a luxury signing at the time because he was there. He was a shiny new toy out there. But you see that did Frank have envisaged in mind how he was going to fit him into the team? Probably not. So for that one, you know, obviously at the time I was quite excited with his purchase, but we do need to think as a club what sort of style of player we need. Because I always go on to with Jurgen Klopp. I'm not a big fan of him, but I do like some of the things that he says, because I think when someone said, who was it? I think it might have been Ronaldo was available, or some big player was available, and he said, you know what, he doesn't fit into my style of football. So he may be a good footballer, and he's a world class footballer, but the way my team plays, he's not for me. And if I tell you something about Timo Werner, 'cause Liverpool were looking at him, but apparently when Klopp was analysing Timo Werner, he did say, you know what, he can't operate in tight spaces. And in the Premier League, you're going to have to, the player is going to operate in tight spaces. He needs a lot of room to run into. In Germany, he has a lot of room to run into. So I think that's why Liverpool weren't as enthusiastic. They were looking at him, but they weren't as enthusiastic as getting him as Chelsea. And so that's what the point is about the scouting. Well, we don't only look at a player. We could say, can they operate in the Premier League? Are they good enough to operate in the Premier League? So, and with our scout, this Scott guy, the fact that he was scouting what's his name for 2 years, Saul, and thought that he was ready for the Premier League says it all for me. So, that's something for another
Yeah,
case. But
you know me. I always go with the finances. Sorry, the reason why I go with the finances, when we made that 200 million because of the transfer ban, I thought that was the opportunity for Chelsea to recalibrate. Okay, you shouldn't go and spend the whole 200 million immediately. You should take your time when you have money. Okay, Frank Lampard didn't want Kai. Okay, he didn't even want Werner. He wanted Chilwell. He wanted what's his name, GS. Okay, give the manager what he wants. But you don't buy a prospect for that amount of money. Okay, you don't buy a prospect for that amount of money. For me, I knew Chelsea finances were not good. Even after we won the Champions League, if you remember, on a lot of streams, when people were saying, oh, we made 92 million on the Champions League, I said, no, we've already spent that money. Because of remember the COVID, we lost over 100 million. So those money went into those black holes. Okay, people like say, oh, why did Chelsea didn't spend money this summer? I'm like, we didn't have money. Why did Chelsea didn't buy this and this? We didn't have the money. We spent the money. If we did keep some of that money we made over the transfer ban, those money would have been very, very important now. But we spend our money. We spend our money. This is the situation we are in now.
Yeah.
Because of we spending money. Now we don't. We have to sell.
What do you think at this point? Yeah. What do you think at this point that McAllister said? Can you see it? Just saying, if Claire was.
I agree. This is the thing. I said it. You know what? You remember beginning of the season? I didn't believe that we should have gone for Lukaku. I didn't. Now he's here. I will support him. The same thing with Kai. I will support him. We did not have the finances. We spent that. We splundered those finances after the whatever. We did not. Even Lukaku, I didn't believe it was going to happen. Because I look at Chelsea finances, I'm like, how are they going to pull this off? Lukaku had to give up 20 million to join Chelsea. And the only reason why he did that, because he's a Chelsea boy. He loved the club. He gave up 20 million on loyalty bonus from Inter and signing on bonuses from Chelsea. He gave it up. 20 million he gave up to make it happen. Okay, but we did not have the money. People don't get this. We don't. The owner is rich. But Chelsea financially, the money that we made over the transfer ban, we misuse it. And we're in a very bad position. For me, I would have gone for a cheaper version of Lukaku. Keep Broha, sign Vlahovic. Because the summer he was cheaper. And he would have come with the lower wages. Go cheap. Okay, if Vlahovic doesn't work, you can still get your money back. But if Lukaku doesn't work, you can't get your money back. If Kai doesn't work, you can't. It's a prospect. Nobody spends 72 million on a prospect. Look at João Felix at Atletico. Look at João Felix at Atletico. Atletico is going to go bankrupt because of that. You don't spend that kind of money on a young player. Bayern Munich did it once with Mario Götze. Remember Mario Götze? Okay, one injury, that was it. They lost their money. That's why they learned their mistakes. Teams have stopped doing it. Only Manchester United is doing this crazy thing, buying young players ridiculous amount of money. Look at Kylian Mbappe. He's working out of PSG for free. Okay, so people should realize this. The money side, we are fans. But if you love your club, always pay attention on their finances. If the finances are healthy, it's okay. But Chelsea don't have healthy finances. We cannot afford these players. We just can't. We just can't. The
Yeah.
scouting has
Well,
to be
so with
better.
this in mind, yeah, with this in mind, so this leads me on to another subject with regards to finances, because like the news I'm hearing today is about Christensen, Eric Christensen, how he's going to be probably leaving to go to Barcelona, and that's going to be on a free, and we all know that Rudiger's potentially going to be joining Real Madrid on a free, so that's two potential players that we could have got money from. So that's potentially Rudiger's probably value now is up to at least 60 to 70 million. Would you say with his performances? And I'd say Christensen we could have probably fetched between 30 and 40 million pounds for him. So you're talking about 100 million pounds in lost finances. Um, so what do you think about that? I know there's circumstances because obviously we
You,
all know
you,
with the Rudiger one. I've been saying in the past with Rudiger, we had a situation where Lampard didn't really want him. His contract was allowed to run down, so it's hard to negotiate, and the power was now with Rudiger. But with the Christensen situation, why didn't we kind of try and tie that up beforehand rather than leaving it until the
is
last few months of his contract to negotiate?
it's the same situation. People don't understand this situation at Chelsea. It's very, very sad. Okay? The problem we have at Chelsea is sometimes they support the manager when they don't have to. Sometimes they don't support the manager when they should. Christensen and Rudiger is the same situation. There were people in the club that didn't want Christensen to leave. But there were people in the club, like Lampard, he didn't want Christensen anymore. Lampard didn't. Okay? And the club could have, for me, I said it this summer, sell them. Sell them and reinvest the money. I know they won us the Champions League, but I knew this is a problem. Because you know why? The only reason why Cho stay at Chelsea is Jody Morris and the owner. It's not because of Marina. It's not because of anybody else. It was Jody Morris, not even Lampard. Jody Morris. It was Jody Morris as well.
I heard
Jody Morris, sorry, and Joe Edward. Sorry.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of the Chelsea staff who didn't want another. They saw him as a good prospect. They didn't want him as another sort of Lukaku, not Lukaku, a De Bruyne situation because they did think that he would
Thank
come
you.
good as a defender.
Yeah. So, and then guess what? Jody Morris fought tooth and nail. Callum Hudson-Odoi wanted to go, not because of money or anything. Chelsea Football Club matched what Bayern Munich was going to offer him. If it was for money, he would have. He wanted to leave because of playing time. That was the end and be all of it. Game time. Nothing else. Anybody that thought it was for money, you kidding me. He wanted to leave because of game time. And guess what? You remember the reason why he wanted to leave? Jody Morris was already at Derby. Jody Morris was on Twitter telling the young player, arguing with people to say the Chelsea Academy players, they're good enough to play for the first team, but they're not given chance. Okay, there were people that were at Chelsea, they were fed up. Even Eddie Webers, remember? They all left because of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
These families were asking those people, what do you think the prospect is for our kids? They were giving the Chelsea youngsters, they have to leave. Even Mason Mount's father said it. He told Mason to leave. These players have been told by their loved ones to leave Chelsea. Okay, if people think that the players are not loyal, no. They don't see pathway. They don't see chance. They're not asking for first team. They want to see chance. Put them in the first team. Give them a chance. If they don't perform, you say, oh, he didn't make it. But when you don't even give somebody a chance, you say, oh, you're not ready. How do you know someone is not ready? Chelsea said Lamptey wasn't ready. That's why he went into the last year of his contract. Livramento wasn't ready. Even Rhys James, it was because of Lampard he stayed. It's not the club. The club already, listen to his father's interview on BBC. Chelsea wanted to send him on loan again. They said he wasn't ready. How do you know he wasn't ready for Chelsea if you don't give him a chance? And right now, Chelsea are in a problem. You know why? The owner is not happy. Let me tell you this today. He's not happy. You know why? It doesn't understand why people are saying the Chelsea Academy players are not ready at 19 and they go into other teams in the Premier League and they're playing well. So that means we lost 2 or 3 generations that we didn't give chance to.
Yeah.
That's why they're
One
restructuring
thing
the
I
whole
heard,
setup right now.
yeah, one thing I heard was that I think in the next 3 or 4 years, what Abramovich wants, he wants 6 or 7 academy players to make up the first team. Then we just get in 3 or 4 world class players to complement that side. But he wants it to be made up of yeah. So obviously John Terry's coming as well, which is good for our young players because we know what John Terry offers. Everyone who's, all the young players who've been interviewed in the past have said John Terry has been a great help with their career. So that's a good move for us because he can help them to make that next step up into the first team. I think we're seeing a change now because obviously we've got with Shalabar, with Trevor Shalabar, he's another one who people would have wanted to go on loan. He's come into the side and proved himself to be a worthy player for the first team. So when you've got the likes of Shalabar, you've got the likes of James, you've got the likes of Mason Mount, and obviously we've seen Billy Gilmore went on loan, but he's had opportunities. So now they are seeing a genuine pathway. So do you think the likes of your Harvey Vales and Sunsop Bell and people like that, do you think now that can you see them seeing a pathway into the team?
With Harvey Vale is very tricky because you know why? He's going to be in a very strong position next summer. Okay, Chelsea have to make a choice. If Chelsea tell Harvey Vale that we're going to give you 5-year contract, but we're sending you on loan, I don't think he's not going to take it because they think it's a trap. As soon as you sign the 5-year contract, it's loan after loan after loan. Your future is not in your hand. That's the problem. They don't trust the management because each of their former colleagues that signed 5-year contract, only few of them have come back. Because if you're 19, you sign a 5-year contract. Chelsea have get hold of you until you're 24. By the time you're 24, you're loan army. Your career is done. Your career is done. Chelsea have made money off you, but your career is done. So someone like Harvey Vale, the only way Harvey Vale will stay at Chelsea if he's part of the first team next year, and he sees that okay, I can play 10 games a season. You understand? And he see he played 2-3 games, things like that. Then you'll be like, you know what? If I prove myself, I have a chance.
But
That's the thing.
the other problem, I think, not a problem, but the thing is as well, we've got quite a lot of good players in those similar positions, and not all of them are going to be part of the team. For instance, take I know with Reece James, we can argue that he needed backup because now we're seeing the fact that we don't have a right wing back, so we're going to have to go into the market to buy one. So that's where if we had offered the likes of either whether it be Tarek Lamptey or Livramento the chance to say, look, you're going to be rotating a lot of games with Reece James and gave them those promises, then they may have stayed. But we also have a situation where, for instance, like take Harvey Vale, we've got Harvey Vale, we've got Mason Mount, and then we've got Conor Gallagher coming in, and they're all young players of the so not all of them would probably make it at Chelsea. So I don't have a problem where when we have sort of young players who are have to leave because of other good young players in sort of in their way. The problem that I have, which I hope Chelsea stop doing in the future, is when they're buying these average players to take the place of the young players. For instance, we saw it with Danny Drinkwater. We've seen it probably with Saul Niguez. Did we need that loan deal, spending £200,000 a week on his wages when that place could have been given to somebody else? And obviously, I know that you.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I know that there's a counter argument to that where, for instance, playing time, game time is necessary to improve your development as well. So the club can be saying that we need them to get some game time. If they're playing the odd game here and there, they may not be getting that experience. So it's about balancing act. So that's it.
I agree with you, Max. For me, what I think Chelsea should do, they should do the Real Madrid model. When a young player come in, they will give him the first season, give him 3, 4, 5, 10 game a season in their first team, sign him up to a longer contract, and then sell him with a buyback option, a sell-on clause. Chelsea should adopt that model. You make more money because you know why? when you
Yeah, we're
sell a
kind of doing
player
that
to
now,
a,
ain't we?
yeah, when you sell a player
Did you
to a
think we're
team
kind of doing
with a,
that now?
yeah, we're doing it now. We're doing it now. Well, let me explain to people what's the advantage between that and a loan. If you sell a player with a buyback option or sell on close to another team, it's in that team's best interest to develop the player, because the better the player is, the more money they will make. If you send a loan player to a team, if the player is not in their interest to develop the player because it's not their player, do you get where I'm coming from? That's the difference between a loan
Yeah,
and a sell. Well, a sell on. Look at Billy Gilmore. It's not his Norwich interest to develop Billy Gilmore. They don't care. Conor Gallagher at West Brom. It was not in their interest. Serge Canabry, remember Serge Canabry when this what is it? Tony Pulis said he's not even good enough for League One. You remember?
yeah,
And
I remember.
look at him now. Okay, so these are the things. When you send a player on loan, unless the player is lucky, like Conor Gallagher, to have a good manager like Vieira with clean-hearted person, because people forgot this. Josh McEachran's career was ended by Brendan Rodgers. He went to Holland and had a wonderful loan. He came back. Brendan Rodgers took him to Swansea. He broke him down, told him, "You're not good at this, you're not good at this." The kid was vulnerable. That was it. So managers, loan can destroy a player. A loan move can destroy a player. We
Yeah,
have to
but
be
counter
careful
that.
about this.
Yeah, counter that though. Yeah, MDT to counter that. I do think okay, it can do, but I do think it's not only about a person's ability. I also think it's about the person's mindset as well. So we could say that they've broken that, but the player, for me, what makes a good player? Oops, my screen's just my screen's just gone. Can you see me? Yes, my
Yeah, I can see you. I can see you.
yeah, we'll just adjust. Let me just adjust this because it's gone down a bit. Yeah. So what I was saying is, I think it's also about the mindset of a player. Okay, the club may have situations where we say we kind of send them on loan or over, but if they say, you know what, I'm strong enough to handle this, to deal with this, then I think I can make it. I think for me that's what. Sorry, that's hey Dennis, thanks for joining, Dennis. Yeah, let me just finish this point and then I'll just say, because like, I'm taking him as a prime example, and I use him in quite a lot. I've done a couple of videos about the young players and the loan system, etc. And what I'm saying is, there's two incidences, and I'm going to use Mason Mount as a model here because you quite rightly said that his dad wanted him to leave, but he said no. He's because what his dad said is no one has made it at Chelsea, John Terry, and that was because that was years ago. And then he said, you know what, the next one. That's what I'm going to be the next one. He went on a couple of loans. He was when you think. Remember when he was at Vitesse? Vitesse didn't play him for the first part of the and then he said his dad again told him, look, leave, you're not getting any opportunities for Vitesse. He said, I'm staying at Vitesse and I'm going to prove them wrong. He ended up being their player of the year. And that's what I'm saying. If you've got that mindset, even if you have a loan that doesn't work out, what determines you as a top player is the right attitude. You know, is Mason Mount the most skillful at Chelsea? Probably not. But why is he at the top of his game? Because of his attitude, his belief, his work rate. He has got skill, yeah, but he's going to go to the very top because because he reminds me of the likes of John Terry in the way that he said, you know what, I am going to be the best player I can be. I don't care what's going to get in my way. I am going to be that player, and that's what I think we need as well as the younger players. You know, they need the right mindset as well as the ability to get going. So, Couch, welcome to the show, Dennis.
What's up, fellas? Everything
Big
good?
up, couch. Good.
Yeah,
Max, just
good to
before you there about Mount, Mason Mount. This is why I gave when like I don't, even though I know okay Lampard's management wasn't great. Frank Lampard is the reason why these young players are playing for Chelsea now. Frank Lampard. Let Chelsea fans give him that credit. Frank Lampard is the reason. Most of these players, they already received a portfolio as soon as their season ended. If Lampard wasn't appointed, most of them was going on loan. It was Lampard. Lampard did great. If Lampard was at Chelsea this season, Conor Gallagher would have stayed and fight for his place. This is the problem. Lampard and Jody Morris will never get that credit, but they were ready to go skelter, whatever the word is, for bringing more and more. It would have been uncomfortable for a lot of people, but they were ready to destabilize everything possible to make sure the academy players are given chance to see whether they're good enough or they're not. The ones that are not good enough, we can sell, but at least to give them a chance to prove themselves at Chelsea. Lampard would have kept quite a few. So Mount making it, it's Mount's determination and Lampard's opportunity. Lampard deserves lots of credit. Even his father said it. If it wasn't for Lampard, he didn't think Mount would have broke in. So this is the thing. When people are having a go, when people are having a go at Lampard, we have to look at Lampard. His success at Chelsea is crazy. You know, not in the football pitch, but the amount of money he saved Chelsea now and in the future.
Yeah, but MDT at the same time, like the very next window, when Chelsea were able to make transfers, they went balls to the wall. Like they spent over £200 million. So, and he still wanted more. He still wanted Declan Rice. He's like, so as much as I agree with you, he was like integral in bringing through some of these players. Let's be honest, like a lot of that was forced as well, right? Because we had the transfer.
I always said that. Yeah, I always said.
I think you're chopping, Max.
No, go on. I think there's a. Go on.
You there?
Yeah, I think there's a. I think there's a bit of a lag. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, no, I think it's commendable that he was able to get performances out of some of these young kids and integrate them into the squad correctly. But at the same time, those guys were probably meant to come back anyways because they've been on 2 or 3 loans. Like, where was Mason Mount going to go after playing at Derby, playing at the Test for a couple or however many seasons? Like, the next step, if he's of that quality, is back into the first team. Reece James was killing it at Wigan. Everyone knew. Everyone expected him to come back into the squad next year anyways. Tomori, different story. I wasn't really quite sure that he would be able to step in. And obviously, Frank brought him in because he was Derby's Player of the Year. Like he brought him with that sort of like that's on a CV, right? It was justified. I'm just saying that, like, as much as I commend Frank for what he's done, just giving these kids a chance and whatnot, at the same time, the very next year when he had opportunity to spend money, not even the very next year, when the transfer ban was lifted in January, he was already looking to buy. He was already looking to bring in Ziyech and stuff like that. So, I mean, it goes both ways for me. And the predicament we're in right now, you already highlighted it, MDT, with the BBC post. Like, we have to sell to buy. If we don't sell, we're in no position to challenge for the top honors. So it's a catch-22. Yes, we want to see these kids come through, and we've seen a ton of them come through the last 2 or 3 years. But at the same time, if we want to be competing at the highest level, we still need to be selling these kids in order to make the right amount of money to bring in the likes of Lukaku, to bring in the likes of whoever else, Mendy in goal, So, I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to do, what we're meant to do at this point. It's either we go to Roman and tell Roman that, lower the expectations because we have a very young squad right now. We don't have the resources to compete at the highest level. The expectations have to be, a consistent top 4 place, and that's it. Because anything else on top of that has to be viewed as either going above and beyond or, or just luck, really. Like, I don't know what is expected of the squad when you were asking for these young kids to come in. We don't have the resources to bring in these big names, and like what is the expectation at that point?
Couch, let me just
do you think the there's a point where
sorry, there's lagging. Yeah. So Max,
no,
you want to go ahead?
I think there's a lag on my end. So.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Couch.
Yeah, let me just put it. Yeah, so
okay. So go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Couch, just a quick one. So yeah. I think there's a lag on my side. I think it's in
Yeah.
some music, but that's fine. So Couch, just a quick question. Do you think it'll be worth us, say, for instance, obviously with the buy sell to buy, there are some players who probably don't fit into this system, who don't. So I'm thinking maybe, do you think it's worth selling some of the, like sacrificing somebody like a Timo Werner, for instance, or like a Pulisic and down, just to get in probably who's more suited to the style that Tuchel wants to play. And again, this is dependent on Tuchel staying. So what we need to do, we need to be patient with our manager and say to him, you've got 3 or 4 seasons, regardless of our success, because that's a problem that we've had in the past. That we've got a manager in, he's bought in players for his style. He's stuck with certain players, and so we are in a situation where um, we've got these players on big contracts. We can't shift them. But if it's a case of asking Tuchel, which players fit into your system, which don't, because we need to raise funds. Which players could you do without next season, and we waste them? So I think that's the only way that we can do it. And to get him to look at the academy, which he has looked at now, and to say which players in the academy do you step up, so that we can, because we don't want to be spending millions of pounds here and there. We just want to be buying players at the right price who can fit in, and then the rest can be complemented with our youth team.
I mean, but even with that, even with that said, it's still a huge risk, right? Number one, first of all, I think that he's got an 18-month contract, so we're not looking long term right now at Tuchel. We're looking at a short spell of time to implement him into the squad, see what he can do, and then perhaps after the cake, they might just even renew him for another 18 months. Like, it just seems like that's where the structure of this club is right now. They're not really looking to give long term contracts like they did under Antonio Conte, like they did under Jose Mourinho, because the ramifications of that is you end up spending out, so when you do sack him, which is inevitable at this club, it seems like the payouts are crazy. So they would rather sign these shorter term contracts and see what happens then. The problem I have with this whole process is there's still no vision. Like, you're bringing in these managers, like these top name managers, and you're not really, supporting them the correct way. And then on top of that, there's no sporting director that's actually meshing everything together. If you want somebody to just be the head coach of your squad, you don't want them to manage. Then you have to have somebody above him that is actually implementing the structure and saying, this is how we're going to play. This is the type of players that we want to go after. And right now it just looks so scattergun. We buy players, and these marquee players, and we don't take into account what style of football we're trying to play. This has been an ongoing problem with this club. You know, and it's mainly down to the fact that we, number one, don't really have a sporting director, somebody that is overseeing the entire operation of the club in terms of the on-field and off-field purchases, the style. We also don't have a long-term manager who we're committing dollars to. We're basically just buying marquee players, and then until somebody, and then we're hoping for the manager to get the best out of these guys without really giving him the tools to succeed. Like for the likes of like Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is a luxury buy. Like he isn't a guy that slots right into any one particular system. He's a guy that you could probably use in multiple different positions, obviously, but hasn't really excelled in one particular role. So what was the point in paying $71 million for a guy that you don't actually have a vision for in your squad?
I think Peter Cech's come in now, hasn't he? And I think what he's doing, he's kind of fulfilling that role at the moment. Because if you look at Mendy, when Mendy came, nobody knew a lot about him, but Cech had been scouting him for a while, so he knew about him. So to be honest, I hadn't really heard of this goalkeeper before we got him. And with the Tchouaméni one, apparently Petr Cech's gone over there and he's done some due diligence on Tchouaméni, feels that he's the right fit for the club, and so I think so. So it's kind of getting that way. So he's getting his foot under the door. So he may be the one to fill that role. MDT, sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Couch. I'm gonna send you the article. If anybody tell you Reece James was coming back to Chelsea, they're not telling you the truth. The club even will be lying. Because guess what? Reece James was meant to, he done the championship loan. They wanted to send him on loan in the Premier League to another team. Messi Mount has done the foreign loan, has done the championship loan. The next step, Chelsea loan system, is the Premier League. Tammy Abraham was meant to stay with Villa because he helped them promote it to see how he performed. It was not planned. This is Lampard's. Okay, about them signing, yeah, you're right. As soon as we have chance to spend money, Lampard was part of the people that spend the money. Ziyech and what's his name? And Chilwell. Those are his buy. Yes, definitely, those are his buy. And he wanted Declan Rice. He didn't get that. But the rest, that was the scout. It's not Marina. This is why I don't like to blame Marina. Marina's job is not to scout. That's the scout. The scout come with a report, will tell you that, okay, this is a prospect, this is their ceiling and things like that. But that's where sometimes you need somebody that know football, because they can say, you know what, the quality these players have, do we have similar players in our academy with the same threshold, with the same ceiling? You have the money. Bayern Munich were only willing to pay 40 million for Kai. Okay, let that sink in. You go and play somebody's release clause, a 21-year-old release clause. That's not scouting. Because everybody knew about Kai. He was not a gem. Everybody knew about him. Okay? Werner, yes, I'm going to hold my hands up. I wanted Werner because I thought he will do well in the Premier League. But it's not my job because every little bit of details, because Liverpool, they don't have money. They look at every single details before they spend their money. But Chelsea, we had 200 million. We just spent it like that. You're right, Kai. You're right, Scout. When it comes to, you're right. We don't have football people that are good enough to make this decision, especially the scouting part. This is why I told you guys that there is a restructuring that's happening right now. Unfortunately, it's like we have to. John Terry is part of it. They bring in football people now into Chelsea like he used to be. We can go and talk about how bad Emenalo was or whatever. One thing he was a football person. He was not a finance person. He was a football person. Every decision he made, good or bad, was football reason. You can disagree because people make mistakes. But when it comes to buying players, okay, the scouting part of players, whatever, that's not Marina. Marina, yeah, you can blame him for the contract. The reason why Marina cannot even give Rudiger this money, it's not because of Chelsea. She doesn't want to. This is why I was telling you guys. Remember when I said let's wait until the 30th or the 31st of December before we say anything? Is this I was talking about? You think Marina don't want to give it to Rudiger or Christensen? She does. But the signings we made, it's nearly impossible for us to do anything because our revenue has reduced. Our salaries has gone up. It's not because of Rudiger. It's not because of Christensen. It's because of the expensive signings. This is the problem with you spending your money on expensive signings. So this is the case Marina is in. You can blame. And also, the other mistake I can blame her for. When you sell an academy player, you make more money. That's true. But as soon as you sign a player outside an expensive signing, the money you made, you spend it all plus. Because the academy player, like you know, monetization is almost nothing. But when you buy a player, their monetization can be more than what it costs you to sell the academy player. Like right now, Chelsea's biggest assets are Callum, Reece, Mount, and Chalobah. Okay, these are. If we sell them, we'll be fine financially. But if we sell Werner, we're not going to make huge profit. Or maybe if we're lucky. Pulisic, we're not going to make profit. Kai, we're not going to make profit. Kepa, we're not going to make. Lukaku, we're not going to make profit.
Well,
so
not in this
now,
market. Not in this market, but you can certainly turn a profit on Pulisic, but not in this market right now, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not in this market. Okay, because one thing people fail to understand, Pulisic was in Germany. Okay, Germany. Bayern couldn't pay his release clause and get him with the attraction of the American market. But what did they do? They came to Chelsea Academy. They wanted an 18-year-old. Why? Because they look at the football and reason. So these are all when I'm saying our scouting. These are the things. It's nothing to do with the the structure need to be looked at. But Marina is being blamed for footballing decisions. She's not responsible for that. Blame her for the contracts or whatever. But footballing decisions.
MDT, like
Yeah.
I'm looking at both sides of the ledger right now, and I agree that our scouting department, Scott McLaughlin, like that guy hasn't proven to be anything useful. Nothing useful. Nothing's come out of him that seems useful right now, as far as I'm concerned. Like since Emanalo's left, we've been a shambles in terms of like scouting teams, scouting players. But I'm also looking at, okay, the year that we got Maurizio Sarri, how long did it take to get that deal accomplished? Like it took a really, really long time to get Sarri released from Napoli. And as a result, the knock-on effect with that was the fact that, okay, well, Kepa wants to leave, or sorry, Thibaut Courtois wants to leave. There's no time to negotiate a proper goaltender. They held on to him to the very last minute. All of these players that we're trying to get across the line at the very last minute, like these are all decisions that come down to the movement of the board. Like you want a manager, you pay the release clause and get the manager. Like why are we penny pinching, trying to figure out how we can get him for cheaper? And then the knock-on effect of that is just, now Thibaut Courtois wants to leave.
This is why I agree with you 100%. When you come exactly, this is where you criticize her about the Allison deal, the Thibaut Courtois, and not paying the release clause to get Sarri to have a pre-season, all that, things like that. Marina is at fault of all of that. That's true. Taking long. This is why I agree with you. But I'm talking about other aspect of when it comes to the scouting, we're going to play release clauses or whatever instead of finding gems. Look at Peter Cech. Less than a year in the job, he found Mendy. Scott McLaughlin, what's his name? Who was his find? Saul.
I'm hoping.
With the help of Boogeyman.
I'm hoping. Yeah, that's just terrible, right? Like what are we talking about here, right? Saul's the one guy we bring in.
Coming.
It's ridiculous. But even beyond that, like we can say Peter Cech, but like, did he really do any real scouting there? Like he went back to his former club, who he's probably had incredible ties with, and found a keeper.
No, he didn't even. You know what happened? No, guess what?
He was the club, right?
I knew him because he played for Senegal. But guess what? Peter Cech wasn't even scouting him. Peter Cech was told by his former, Christian Lolichon. Remember the Chelsea former goalkeeping coach? Lolichon. He's the guy that went to Cech and said, look at this. He's the next big thing in Europe. People are not looking. That's how Peter Cech didn't scout him. We give him Peter Cech credit because of his contacts. This is why when you're not a good scout, you have to have contact. Emenalo, that's what happened. Emenalo has contact all over the world. That's what helped us. Scott McLaughlin might only have contact in Wales. Who knows?
That's the way scouting works, as you said. You have the scouting network, and you need that scouting network because you can't be in 50 places at one time. You have scouting network, people you can trust, who can recommend players to you. Welcome to the stream, DJ. I'm on for another 10 minutes because I did promise you something with the family. So
no worries, bro. Big up.
We're just talking about the finances.
Yeah.
The reason why you got into talk about the younger players was because, obviously, as MTD quite rightly says, they are the players who cost the club the least money. So if we invest our time in them and give them a lot of trust, then we don't need to be spending money on your 70, 80 million pound players. You just need to sort of get a couple of world-class players, then trust what we've got in our world-class academy. That we've seen with other teams have come out and taken players from our academy, Musilia, Livramento, even Tarek Lamptey yesterday. A great game for us, So we can use these players, and they can probably allow us to stay competitive. So I just want to get your thoughts on
I just barely jumped on, Max, because obviously I want to come on one of your streams for a long, long time. Secondly, I want to hear what you and MDT had to say on this, especially MDT. I know MDT's thoughts and everything, and I know he was messaging me on the DMs earlier on about this whole finance thing. And some of it I know, some of it I know, some of it I don't know, which is correct. I do work in finances as well, but I know MDT's more clued up on things like this, and I want to get more of his input on what he was saying to me. And I understand a lot of it was down to our academy, and we're making a lot of the money from our academy graduates and how we're making our money and things like that. And I just wanted to get more on it, really, come to listen to more on it, and obviously giving my input in between. But it's just mainly hear what you and MTT, obviously Couch, have to say on it, or it's more of a listening thing for me. But yeah, I mean, I'm here to listen and obviously give my opinions as well. But I just want to hear what you guys really have to say. I know you can just watch it, but it's also nice to also say, as I said, it's nice to give my views as well on it. But mainly to hear you guys, mainly because I know you guys know this more, especially MDT on this. And I just want to hear what you had to really say on it, really, mate. So yeah, I mean, please, hope you guys can carry on. I'll be here giving my opinions, but I just wanted to listen more to what you guys had to say in terms of it all.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, because as I said before, I'm not sure before you came on. Is when we kind of look at the contract situation with the players, and we were saying, a lot of people are saying, Marina, this, why don't you give them what they want or whatever. So today, obviously, we've seen the situation which has come out with our finances. So that's why we need to be careful about balancing the books and things, because we don't want to be in a situation like what Barcelona find themselves in now, or other clubs. So we need to be quite sensible in the way that we do things. And it's also a situation of, obviously, the COVID. The reason why we lost a lot of money in the BBC report was saying that obviously the fans weren't around.
Like they're in the football club.
The match day revenue. So we do need a bigger stadium. But someone, I think Mikhail, when he was on earlier, made a good point, which I didn't touch on actually. Because Chelsea are going to be one of the teams who are going to be piloting this standing area.
Yes.
Sure you knew about that,
yes, so I knew about that one.
So that in itself can give us a lot more capacity to get more players into the club, because obviously into the matches. Sorry, because obviously if we have standing room, we don't have to be reliant on the seating area. I'm not sure how many people they have allocated for the standing zone. So if it is another 5,000-10,000 people, then again that will increase our capacity from the 42.5 that is currently to closer to 48,000-50,000. If it is, as I'm not sure what the numbers are. So just say 5,000. You're talking about an extra 5,000 fans, an extra £5,000 in revenue. The seating prices won't be as much, because if it's standing, we can't be charging seating prices. But it's just the old experience of going into the club shop, buying the drink and the food, etc., and that will give us some more income. Before you came on as well, I'm not sure if you saw that report that Chelsea.
No, I didn't, bro. I didn't.
Apparently Chelsea fans on average spend £1,600 on per match day. That's the highest of every single club there is. I think the next up from us is the Manchester United on 1,500. I think it's because Chelsea, the area that Chelsea is in, we are quite affluent. So we've got people who can afford the cost. Our match day tickets are more expensive than most, and we're talking about season tickets now, £4,000 that the club have put up for in the East Stand, I think, and people will buy that because people can afford to buy that. But what's happened? Our increase has only gone up by 5% over the last 10 years. And if you compare that with the likes of some other clubs, Tottenham's have gone up by 93%, Arsenal's by 80%, Manchester City's have gone up by 160%. And with Tottenham and Arsenal, you can argue that the fact obviously they moved into bigger stadiums, so that's why their match day revenue has gone up. They've got more fans coming in. Within the club, they've got more sort of merchandise within their clubs. People will spend more, etc., etc. So theirs has gone up by quite a lot, while ours and Manchester United's, I believe, haven't gone up by a lot in the last 10 years. So there's scope for us to move that up to the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United. If we can do that, then you're looking at a big increase. Maybe our ceiling, because our ceiling's so high anyway, maybe that's why it's just gone up by a small percentage, whereas the others was a bit lower to start off with. But there are opportunities for us to increase on those numbers.
Can I just say this? And I know it's hindsight right now, but we're planning on building a stadium, right? And that obviously got the plug got pulled on that. But imagine, obviously with COVID and like fans not being in the stands, could you think of a more perfect scenario for Chelsea to build a stadium under than that? You know, the fact that, you know, we're not going to be allowed to be in the stadium anyways. And, you know, it's basically, it just seemed like the perfect storm that we kind of missed an opportunity to take these next few years to, you know, take advantage of a situation where fans aren't going to be in the stands anyways. But alas, here we go.
Yeah,
Right?
that would have been ideal. Obviously, we had this situation with Roma, and the reason why it was stopped in the first place was because of obviously that political scenario was going on with the Russians not being allowed into the country, etc. But as you said, this would have been the ideal time to start building when we had no fans in the stadium anyway. We could have got this perfect stadium built and ready in I think it's what 2 years, 3 years time it takes it to build a stadium. Yeah,
Max,
that would have been the ideal
MDT, do you
situation.
guys know? Do you guys know if this stadium is still going to be built at all? Is it still going to happen, or is it just going to go completely off the books now?
This is the thing I will tell DJ. One thing I will want all Chelsea fans to do: go and be part of the pitch owners. It costs nothing.
Yeah.
If we push for it, we can vote and win. We have to participate in it for us to be able to move forward. If more Chelsea fans don't sign up, because last time we lost it by minuscule. Okay, it's not much. Chelsea fans worldwide have to be part of the pitch owners when the vote come up next time to whatever Roman wants to expand the stadium. We will be able to defeat the fundamentalists, because we have fundamentalists in among the Chelsea fans that don't even want Roman at the club, and the majority of them are part of the pitch owners. Okay, so they like to celebrate the success, but they don't feel like the stadium is the ownership or whatever is how do you call it, is traditionally English enough. Okay, so I know them, because come on, when you've been a pitch part of them for so long, you know them, you know the way they speak. They enjoy the trophies and everything,
The Nimbus.
but they don't like people. Yes, deep down they want. If Chelsea can be sold to a proper English person, they will prefer that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Even as you say that though, MDT, the last time we had the stadium plans, they approved it, right? So it was set to go ahead. You know.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Chelsea pitch owners.
Yeah, but the pitch owners, they basically just limited Roman from moving the club from Stamford Bridge. So they have to figure out a way to redesign Stamford Bridge, because they wanted to
Stamford Bridge, yeah.
But that's what I mean. We cannot move because we're gonna lose the name or things like that or whatever, things like that. Yeah. So for us to be able to even get that, we have to be part of the pitch owners. Any Chelsea fan can go and buy a share, so you can be a voting member. So when that happens, we will not lose anything. Chelsea fans worldwide have to participate. That's what I'm saying. We have to help the club. Tottenham is going to overtake us financially soon. People keep thinking this is a joke. It is not. We're falling behind. The only thing keeping us afloat is the academy. Love them or hate them is the only thing keeping us afloat right now. You might hate the academy players. Some people want the academy to be sold. Some people want the players, all of them, to be sold and buy superstars. We can buy as much superstars as we want. We cannot pay them. We cannot afford to pay superstars with the capacity at Stamford Bridge. We can have maybe 3 or 4. That's it. 3 or 4 maximum we can have.
Yeah, I think that it's a multitude of problems. Because it's not just like the fact that the youth are the revenue stream right now, but it's also the fact that we're just buying really poorly. And that goes down to the scouting department for me. Like, I don't understand how you can be looking at somebody for 2 years and not realize the guy can't play football anymore. Like, you've been scouting him for 2 years, they said. And Salmi Guez is the guy to bring in. You know what I mean? Like,
does Boogeyman help with that, isn't it?
You really gotta stop with that. You really gotta stop.
No, he said it. He said he liked it because he said it before. So I was listening to him. I like technical Spanish players. You know, they're very good with the ball. They can do things. They can express themselves. That's what he was saying. I'm like, I think this guy must be coaching with Roger Miller. Boogie said it.
Oh, Boogeyman. Oh, love him. Love Boogeyman. Seriously.
Perfect. Yeah.
But look, he to some degree, MDT, he's right to some degree. There are some Spanish players out there that are really, really good players, mate. Yeah.
Not Saul, DJ. Not Saul.
Not
I told him, not Saul.
There was a reason why Atletico wanted to get rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I'd love to continue this conversation, but I have some comments I need.
Fair enough, bro.
It was a great conversation with you guys.
I think we should do a part 1 and part 2 at some point.
Yeah, that would be good.
We need to do a part
full on.
Yeah, we have to do a part 2. Maybe, I'm not sure, tomorrow, lunchtime. I'm not sure if you guys are available, but I'll speak to you guys in a chat, so we may be able to do one tomorrow. Yeah, so it was great. So obviously, as I hope people mention the names, but there are people I've been arguing with on other streams with regards to Chelsea's finances and the reason why we can't always buy the next shiny new toy here, there, and there. Because everyone's thinking, let's just go out and splash this amount in the January window. Let's get this player in, that player in, this player in. But there are, other facets to think about. With the club, we need to still look about balances. We need to be financially stable as well. And just looking at the report today and our financial loss, this should hopefully give people a better understanding of why the club are making some of the decisions that they are making. Maybe we don't agree with some of them, but there is some context behind it. And my only wish is that we buy sensibly. Just buy sensibly, and if we do buy sensibly, then we can get back on that sort of financial. We've done it before. A couple of seasons ago, we were making profit, so I think we can go back into a profit situation. But so if we're going to be selling somebody like Havertz in a couple of years' time for £120 million, then you know the reason why. So don't say, why is the club selling Havertz or this or that? This is the reason. The reality is we are a club who have to buy to stay competitive, to buy to sell, unfortunately. So just quickly, last points, MDT, DJ and Couch before we close the stream. Just 2 minutes each. Okay, then we'll
close it. Sorry, I was going to say.
I'll start with MT, work round.
Chelsea fans, I know some people might not be happy or whatever, but I see the club myself, 1 or 2 of the first team academy players to ease the burden. They might have to, because I don't see any other way that if we're gonna need 4 or 5 defenders, oh my goodness, that's a lot of defenders. If we want a couple of midfielders, we have to sacrifice some of these players that they're gonna come back and bite us, but they have to make some sacrifice. The biggest money they can generate are from certain players. And fans might be uproar, but fans should realize that this is the cost of us not be able to double our revenue in the stadium. Something has to give. Something has to give. And the poor scouting didn't help. We should stop going after any new star that come, whatever. FIFA said is a great star, or when you're playing your FIFA, you saw whatever. We should stop looking at that and start scouting. That's not the fans' problem. The fans can scream for any player, but the club need to continue the pace they're on to reorganize the scouting department. The youth team as well need to be reorganized now, and things like that, because we have to, Max. I don't see any other way, Couch or DJ. If 1 or 2 players might be sold, fans will be kicking off, but we don't have a choice. Rudiger and Christensen contract, this is the reason. That's why I was telling people, wait until the 30th or the 31st. People thought I was crazy, but this is what I was talking about. We just don't have the money. It's not that they don't want to keep them. We don't have the money. If we don't have the money for them, imagine, do we have the money to buy new players that will cost us more without selling? So think about that. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Great points, MBT. DJ, and then we'll go to Couch.
Yeah, everything just MDT just said. It's kind of like disappointing to some. I'd never ever expected. I guess never expected us to be in a situation where we have to like sell and buy players. As before, it was just all we could go and get whoever we wanted to get, build a squad, and that was it. And we'd go and buy players of clubs that can't get them, and we can always get them. But now it's that situation where, now knowing what MDT has said about the finance figures, for me that is a gutting thing, knowing the fact that we may have to lose some top young talented players over it all just to go and stay afloat. I mean, yeah, it's worrying times, but listen, I always do still give my club hope and still say we'll still be successful on the pitch as we always have been, and may it long continue with this situation. Whatever the situation, whatever comes upon us, may it long continue and we be successful. I just really hope we can find a way still of doing something with Stamford Bridge to some degree, maybe building it to high capacity crowd at some point, and do it. I hope at some point, but when that happens, we never know. We don't know, but let's see what happens. I still stay on a good note. I'm still confident about my team doing well. So yeah, let's see where it all goes, Max. Thanks for having me on as always, bro.
Thanks. No worries, mate. Yeah, and Dennis.
As always, thanks for having me, Max. Good discussions. These are the types of discussions I like to have, to be honest with you guys. I don't like the whole rant and rave about like this player sucks, this player is not good. This is real discussion about the club that, it gets my blood going. But DJ, you said the exact same thing that I've been saying for a minute now. It's not, we have a good squad. We have a good team, like it needs to be reinforced the right way. But overall, when we have full health, we have a really good squad and one that can compete in Europe in all competitions. Going forward, I think the major things that we need to be looking at right now, before anything else, is our scouting department. First and foremost, if we're going to be on a shoestring budget and we can't be, spending the £100 million to bring in said player anymore, then we need to be looking at who the scouts are and who is actually looking to find these players that are going to keep us competitive and allow us to, even if it means that you're buying to sell, like we did with a few of the players like the Gilabagis or whatever of the world. As much as people hated that signing, he was bought and we made money off of him. We need scouts that understand the situation that the club is in and have the ability to maximize our limited resources to either bring in players that we can sell later or buy these shoestring budget players who can come in and be difference makers for cheaper, because clearly we can't be paying upwards of £100 million anymore to bring in like the top name talents and not having them succeed. And then, now we're in this mess where we can't resell them. Like, how many of different players have we come through the ranks the last like 4 or 5 years where we can't move them because their wages are too high and nobody wants them because they flopped at Chelsea. We need to be looking at the scouting department. That's the major area. We have to be efficient in that department, and we have to be able to find players that can play for the club or be sold on so we can generate more revenue for the club. That's it for me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Great discussion. MDT, DJ Sev, Dennis, as always like talking football with you guys. You've got make some very intelligent points. And, as I said, let's just look at the club now and just see where we as fans as well can do our bit in supporting by buying the merchandise. DJ knows the season ticket holder, by supporting by going to the matches and, just supporting the players as well, supporting the youth. So as we discussed earlier with MDT, when we have negativity amongst the youth, then we wonder why they're struggling. It's because we not give as supporters giving them the support that they deserve as well. So if we invest, the club invest the money, time, we invest our support. That's how we can help the club that we all love to grow and be something. So the way we're going to move forward is by just, we've got a fantastic academy out there. If we can get 5 or 6 of those into the team, save ourselves some money, go out and buy the superstars, like I know what Real Madrid used to do in the past. Even Barcelona were successful because they had the Iniestas, the Messis of this world coming through. when did they start becoming unsuccessful? When they started to buy all these big players, put them on big wages, and that's why they're in the mess they're in now. So we need to learn from the experiences of clubs, what clubs have done in the past, and let's not make those mistakes. And so we're still good, we're still competitive. Had it not been for injuries this season, we will be, and refereeing decisions, etc. I won't go into it, but had it not been for that, then I think that we will still only be a couple of points behind Manchester City, if not top. So we've got a good side here, as Dennis and DJ has said, and MBT. We've got good players in the team. We've got a good manager. So we can, if we carry on being successful on the pitch as well, that brings in the revenue of it. So that's what we need to do as well. So thank you everyone for coming on, for participating. Thanks for everyone who's in the chat. Mikhail, as always, Sav, MCIG, Tyrone, Coachella, anyone else I've missed out who's contributing in the chat. Thank you. Or Ankit, who's Zolia, Farid, etc. D Stretch, I'm looking down, and those people. Yeah. So appreciate having you. Yeah. And we'll try and do like a part 2 where we can have more discussions on this matter. Very good discussion, guys. And enjoy the rest of your day. If I don't do a stream tomorrow or the next day, have a great 2022. So 2022,
you too,
up
Max.
the Blues.
And your family as well.
Same, brother. Same.
Same to everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us,
Same
Max.
to everyone.
DJ,
Thanks,
Couch.
Max, as always.
Happy New Year in advance.
Always a pleasure being with you guys on the show.
Yeah. All right. Nice one. All right. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.
Take care. Peace out, guys. Peace.